Welcome to a meeting of the Town of Barnstable Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee. Today is August 28th, 2023. This meeting is being recorded by the Town of Barnstable and will be available on Channel 8 after the meeting has been concluded. The agenda for this meeting is available on the town website. So welcome everybody, and if Chuck, if you would call the roll, please.
Will, Lillian,
Here.
Hector,
I'm here.
Neil,
Present.
Chris.
Here.
I don't see Jackie, but I'll say Jackie. And Wendy. But I'm here, so I think that's 5, and I think that means we're good to go.
That's great. Okay. Well, the first item on the agenda is the final draft of the financial overview report fiscal 24. And Neil, who has worked all 12 drafts of it, is going to be our scribe for tonight.
I'll get it right eventually. So if you can give me the screen share, I'll try to make this work.
You
I have it. I have it. Golly day. Can everyone see that?
Not yet. Can you make it a little bigger?
I'm gonna see if I can. Let's see. Let's see. Does that help?
Not quite yet. Well, we could work with it.
Can everyone work with it? Because I'm not sure how to make it any bigger. Hold on, maybe there is a way. It won't get much bigger.
Usually
You can make it as big as you want.
Well, I have a 24-inch screen that is actually turned by 90 degrees, so I can see the whole page as on my screen. It may be because it's showing the whole thing. If people can work with it,
Yeah, I can work with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Put my glasses on. I can.
sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So like we did last week, we're just going to go through and ask everybody to see whether they have any comments. All of our edits that were noted last week, Neil has incorporated into this particular, hopefully last draft. So we'll go and work on it. So starting with Chris, got anything on the first page?
No, I think the first page is good. I like that the citations were made on all of those figures in the profile. So I think the first page is ready to go.
Yeah.
So there are 3, Neil, as you could see, and Microsoft gives you an alert where there's an extra space. You have three of them on that first page, 2 in the first paragraph, and 1 in the community profile on the second line. So you have just delete 3 spaces.
I think it's because we justified left and right.
No, it's not. There are extra spaces.
Oh, it's not?
So Neil, if you just delete a space there.
Will it work?
Go ahead, delete or backspace. There you go. And then the next one. Delete, okay. Yeah, and then down in there, community profile.
I thought that what Lillian said was true, and you have proved us both.
No.
Yes, you did.
Well, I actually have on my desk here a big tome called How to Work with Microsoft Office 2021. I have a new laptop, and I'm just having some troubles getting used to the new version of Microsoft Word. Anyway, so
thanks for that.
Other than that, I think the page 1 looks good. I agree with Chris. It's the citations are good, and I like the photograph, as I've said before, and the map is good as well. So I do have one question on the bottom line. where it says more detail can be found at, and then it has the X. Oh, I guess the X is the new name for Twitter.
It is Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter
And
at
so
Barnstable. Yeah.
right. So Neil, does the URL for Twitter work, or do you need to tweak
Yes.
that somehow? The Twitter
I checked it and it works.
well, I don't.
Works for me.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. Chuck, any comments on that first page?
No, I just had the three spacing things. There's a bunch of those in the document, and I assume Word will show it. And then
Okay.
underneath the map, I wonder, instead of more detail can be found at, if we should just put for more information, : just again, fewer words. But it's not going to change anything.
And then the very bottom right of page 1 there, it looks to be a bracket that you could get rid of. Bottom right, very bottom.
I don't see that.
I don't see the bracket. Where is it?
Oh, can we back up though? Do we want, the suggestion was made for more detail, or what were the words, Chuck? And do we want to do that and change that or not?
I mean, it's fine as it is. I just,
More
Okay,
detail can be found at. Okay.
we're gonna leave it as is.
Sure.
Are you okay with that, Chuck?
Yep.
More detail can be found at.
Yep.
Okay.
So does everybody do people not see that? Opposite
Hector,
the
I
footer.
can tell you, I had a heck of a time every time people send changes in, because my Word version is different than yours. I was getting underlines and brackets and everything just showing up in the middle of pages, but I do not see what you see.
I don't see what you see either.
But I see it on the screen. I see it on the screen.
I think it might be page 1. I think it's the number 1. Not a bracket.
Oh, is that a 1?
Yeah, it's a 1.
Okay, I stand corrected. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to government structure.
All right. I think, again, there's an extra space at the bottom of the first paragraph after Centerville.
Yep. You see that second to the last line, yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Chris?
I don't see anything else. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Hector?
Looks all right to me.
Chuck?
Can I do one just at the very last sentence? 109.2 million. Would it be I don't know what that, but my thinking was 109.2 million with total revenue of 236.5 million, resulting in a favorable blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And people are okay with the way it is, it's fine. I just don't like buzz and ats and when we don't have to have them, but again.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Page
You'll be
3.
the only person who knows that that's awkward. Okay. General revenue, the revenue part.
So Lillian, I'll defer to you on this one, but in the third paragraph, for municipal general fund operations, education, police, DTW, do we include et ceteras? It's there, and then again 2 lines later. I always thought that you put et cetera when everybody knows what goes there, and you just don't want to waste the space to write it. I would have put for municipal general fund operations, parentheses, e.g. education, police, DPW, close parentheses, as opposed to et cetera. Because it presumes knowledge of the reader that might not be there. But
So
again,
you want to take out. No, we took out the EG. The EG used to be there.
all right, I'm okay.
Let's
just leave it.
Yeah. but you don't like the ETC.
I was always taught ETC was supposed to, you use it when it's obvious. And I don't know that the reader is going to know what else is there except what we've typed out. But if people are fine with it, let's just keep moving on.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. So we're at the top of page 3, the first section.
Yeah.
Why are there those underlinings? Fire district, general fund, enterprise fund, capital investments. Why are those underlined?
Because those are the 3 components. The general fund, the CIP, and the enterprise are the
Okay, so
are the 3 main components. Yeah.
They go with the 4 things that are listed sideways on
okay.
the.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a point of emphasis. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on this part?
My last one again is going to be the graphic in the bottom lower left. So I'm trying to picture this printed or somebody looking at a PDF online. We've got the boxes, but 5 of the boxes don't have any kind of label. I assume just because you can't print that small.
Right.
There's no key. Is that what people want? That we're just trying to convey that there are 5 revenue sources that are so relatively small, they're not worth describing. It struck me as odd from the beginning and still does.
You're right. The problem is the text is way too small and it doesn't fit.
Right.
So what we have done instead was really Chris's desire to provide all the detail. And we do that via the URL at the end of the section, which actually presents the 2 pages with all the detail that one can get either from the PDF pressing on the URL, and it brings up just page 79 and 86, which details this, 79 for the revenue, or the QR code, which does the same thing.
Okay.
So it was a trade-off, but we thought it would be better to give the headline of, what's really the revenue, the major revenue sources via these charts versus just, 19-line tables, which
right
into minutia.
So,
yeah, I think the chart accomplishes its goal. It's unfortunate you can't fit the labels into those tiny boxes, but obviously property tax and government aid, those are the major sources. So
exactly. Well, the title of that is the major sources.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of page 4, you provide the site that they can find out more information.
Right.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elaine, the last word on the page, fund, Community Preservation Act fund. Do you want to capitalize that?
Yeah, capitalize.
Oh, capitalize? Okay. Good catch. I didn't.
Okay. You can roll on to page 4 now.
Good progress.
Yeah, we are. We've only had 12 drafts.
So on the second paragraph, the second sentence, their budget is $82.8 million. I guess again, I'm being my usual grammatical nudge. I would have comma or 42% as opposed to and. But again, I'm just throwing out ideas here.
Yeah, I think that should be or rather than and.
Yeah. Yeah, that's better.
And
So
then
comma or. Oh, no comma.
No,
40,
no,
yeah, that's good.
Comma.
That's good.
Yeah, good catch.
And then in the next sentence, in FY 2024, I'm not sure why you have the word "the" in there. We use local schools repeatedly without "the" before it, but we have it in there. I would just say in 2024, local schools represent blah, blah, blah.
So take out the,
I
take
agree.
out the,
Yep. And
Okay.
then I'm kind of matches up with Neil. Neil's formatting is different from mine. So
no, it looks okay.
well, it's different than the one on my screen.
It's justified on this screen.
So on the last sentence of that same paragraph, it's the exact same comment. Are 95.5 million, comma, or about.
Yeah.
Or I guess you don't need a comma, but. All right.
Okay. Anything else?
I'll take that as move on to the next page.
Sure.
There's just the fourth line from the bottom. You have it says 526 page. I think the Microsoft Word is inviting you to put a hyphen in there.
Oh, not mine. Okay. You know, it's funny actually. The Mac points out different errors than the PC that I created this on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
change is made.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Everybody okay with that? Okay. Enterprise funds.
Okay. This one, Chuck informed me of a grievous error.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to use that word, but there was a
Well,
math
it's a
boo-boo
pretty
here.
big error.
It's a pretty big, yeah, I'd say
It's
so.
a very big error.
What was that?
1.8.
It's in the
Can you-
lower right-hand corner of the chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you see this Excel thing over showing on top of this in the window?
Yep.
The last
Yeah.
line is in the chart, as you can see still, at 4.8. It should be 1.8 that a negative, which Chuck pointed out. And then looking at the table in more detail, there's actually three other lines which are off by just 1/10 of a point, a percentage point. But I would suggest I can change all four of those and make them correct in the next version. Agreed?
Okay, so yes.
Yep.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah, three of them are just obviously rounding errors, but the
1.8 is critical.
okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get that out of the way.
Other than that, it looks good.
Good.
All
So
right.
nothing else I had on that. Okay, so that's the enterprise table. Let me just make a note. I'll do that offline to
Okay.
fire district.
So again, I just think we have an extra word above in that paragraph, the second to last line, there's a word there, THEIR. Again, my formatting is different than Neil, so I'm having trouble.
First paragraph?
First paragraph, fourth line from the end.
Yeah. There it is.
Based on their
for which they
usage.
charge customers based on, I'm not sure why we need there.
We don't need it.
Yeah, you wanna
Which line say?
Fourth line from the bottom.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. There.
For which
based on their usage.
Delete the word there.
Take away there.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Well, I'm learning a lot about this justification. This is cool.
We have to read Hector's book.
Yeah, we do.
Anything else on this one?
No, Chris?
I think it's the second paragraph. I might like bump it down a line just so it's not up against the map.
Yeah, there you go.
I agree. 2 lines.
Just bring that QR code back up a little bit as well.
Yeah, that even with sections, I'm constantly challenged by moving things. I don't know why that is. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right. CIP.
So in the paragraph that begins the approved CWMP,
Where are you?
I'm trying to.
On here.
There we go. Yes. The projects will be for sewer construction of the Centerville Village sewer expansion. And then I would have comma and sewer design for. It's oddly.
I agree. I agree. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Insert the word
And sewer design for. Yeah.
and delete the word
sense.
the. Yeah.
And then right where you have the cursor right now, Neil, I would get rid of the word all.
Get rid of the word what?
All, A-L-L. I don't know what it does. The driver of the increase is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then are you okay with the FYs being split in the table? You know, it's like the program decided where, as opposed to putting them together.
Yeah, is there any way that, yeah, that's much better.
Yep.
Can you drop the F? There you go. That's much better.
There we go. It's just high value stuff is why Lillian pays me the big bucks.
Okay, anything else on this page?
We're ready for public education if everybody's okay with CIP.
And so in state education, second line in the middle, and from the town contribution. Second line.
Second line.
Yeah.
Second
and
line.
right
State
there.
money and from the town contribution, yes.
Do we need from? We've already have from. It comes from two sources. State
Oh,
money,
yeah. You can take away that
Yeah.
from.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And after contribution, I would put town contribution. I would put a comma and then say which is.
Well, I agree with the comment, Hector. I'm not sure you need which is.
I'm not sure you need which is. The
Well, because
contribution
funded primarily by property taxes.
Yeah, that's clear.
That can pertain either to state money or the town contribution, the way it's drafted now, in my opinion. So I'm not going to go to the mat on it, but I think it's a little clearer if you say town contribution.
Yeah, I think
we still
That's
fine.
Yeah, I like that because one says state money and that's clear. And then the contribution and property.
That's good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm good.
Two more lines down, the number 4 in front of primary factors, I would spell out the word.
How did I know that? Okay, thanks. If we were getting down, whoops. I did bad. There we go. Oh, no.
No, you're getting there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually need to get to this. Let's see if we.
Is that picture going to be in our report?
Are you in Edinburgh? This looks like Edinburgh.
I am so screwed up in terms of which. Hold on a second. I'm going to start over again to share. I think I am, anyways. I had this all figured out, I thought. So bear with me, please. this is how little I know about the Mac. It has gone to virtual different desktops or whatever. So let me try to get rid of that. There we go. But what I want to show you. Okay, so here we are in public education.
Yeah.
The thing that I wanted to show you is, can you see this cursor?
Yeah.
Where,
Table?
yeah.
This number and these two numbers are wrong, and this number is wrong. There's two. If you checking them, they're all off. This one's off by in fiscal year 2014, it should be 21.1%. And in, do you see this as being shared? No.
Yes. We can see the page.
Okay.
Well, we can see these numbers, so you're just going to change them all and correct them?
Yes. So
Okay.
these are the table would be correct with these numbers in yellow boxes.
No, we don't have yellow boxes.
You don't see the Excel spreadsheet?
No, but that's
No.
okay, Neil. I would just go ahead and correct them if
So,
I'm
so
happy
you're,
to.
in other words, you're
give
going to
you-
change all the percentage of foundation.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were not quite accurate.
Okay.
Off by 0.1%.
Yeah, so we end up with, it's really trivial overall.
Yeah.
Instead of 127.6% average from fiscal 2014 to 2023, it's 127.5. The ones that are off the most are 22 and 23. So anyways,
Okay.
no one will,
Okay.
hopefully no one will send CFAC at barnstable.com a nasty gram.
Yeah.
Somebody,
If they do, it's going to get forwarded directly to you, Neil.
Yeah.
no, it goes to Mark and then he sends it to us all, and then we all have to recruit that person because they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, property
We're up to
tax.
property tax. I sent you the first two paragraphs that were rewritten. Chuck tightened it up a little bit, so if you had a chance to look at it,
It looked okay to me. So that language that you emailed to us will be substituted for what's here.
correct.
Okay, I am good with that. The only request I have is where we write Prop 2.5. There should be no space between
Correct.
the 2 and the half.
Correct.
So in the first line, when it's finally input, Neil, do you see the first line?
Yes, that's
Prop
actually
2.5.
yeah, and it shows up twice there, right?
Correct.
Understand.
Right. Okay,
So-
good.
So let's just be sure. Chris, are you okay with the rewrite?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Hector's
only-
okay. Chuck's
the-
okay.
The only thing I noticed in the rewrite is in the second paragraph, starting in the fourth to last line.
The
to be-
resulting tax value?
Yes, if the prior line uses the term would be or would. I think we should use would be 458,000, and then in the next line, tax bill would then be 3,241 to have the
Yeah,
consistent.
I agree. Yeah, that's a good, thank you.
Okay, so I'll do that.
Okay, anything else?
No, it looks good to me.
Chuck, thanks for the rewrite.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Okay, this is the one where I expect we're gonna have lots of changes, right?
you bet.
I think this.
The CWMP?
Yes, well,
section, okay.
I think this has gotten more changes probably than property taxes.
Not really.
Well,
So-
I made some of the mistakes in it, yeah.
Yeah,
So third line, the phrase 30 years should read 30-year.
30 - year. Okay, All
Yep.
right.
And then on that same line, I'm not sure why we're using a possessive pronoun. Shouldn't it be by the town, the, and then capital T town,
Where are you?
right where he's got the cursor?
Oh, yes, by the,
Yeah, by the town. Yep,
the-
that's good.
it's by the
Yeah.
town, by our town or the town?
Yeah,
You
well,
go.
we haven't made it kind of possessive up till now.
Right, right. Okay, that takes care of the first paragraph. Next.
Second line in the second paragraph, 8, the number 8 should be spelled out.
Okay.
But going back to his previous comment in the first paragraph, that very last sentence after the comma, we have why we must have it. Maybe you should change that to why the town must have it.
Why, yeah, why the town must have it. Yeah,
So it's not
thank you.
possessive. Yep.
That's good.
I think whoever wrote this takes it personally.
Yeah, so the person who wrote this does take it personally. Second paragraph, all set. Third paragraph, requirements. Do we need both the 10 and the 10 paren at the end?
I don't think so.
So we can
No,
just
we
take out
don't.
the paren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
paren and the number.
There you
Yep.
go.
But
Okay.
I think 10 years should be hyphenated, right? Because it's modifying phases.
Yeah, 10 hyphen
10
year.
hyphen- Yeah, 10-year phases. Okay.
So the next one, just two little nits before, right, just lower left of where you have the cursor on number 5. I think there should be an and before it. It's a list. We have a list in the next paragraph and we end it with an and. So after dredging, semicolon, and
5. Okay.
and then again, another nit. This list in this paragraph is separated by semicolons. The list in the next paragraph, which is identical format, is
Yep.
separated by comma. So
You have great eyes.
Yeah, he really does.
and I don't care what you do, but
Yeah,
my
let's
gut
make them
they should
all,
be the
let's
same.
make them all commas.
They should, yes, they should
Let's
be.
make them all commas, yeah. That makes it consistent.
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
Just a question in the bottom paragraph starts the town's present property count. We say 43, 42 properties are already part of the existing sewer system. Those refer to the Hyannis system, right?
Correct.
So should we just alert the reader to that?
Well,
40,
there are parcels in Barnstable, the village of Barnstable, that are connected currently as
Oh,
well.
okay.
there are how many?
So it's
Mark?
both Barnstable and
I don't know the
Hyannis?
exact number, Hector, but
Okay.
there's probably a few hundred Barnstable properties.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I would just leave it. I would withdraw the comment. I'd just leave it
Okay.
alone.
Okay, so we can move on to page 11.
So I'm going to beat Hector to this. On the third line, it should be FIVE dash, not 5, the number.
Oh, FIVE, right.
Yeah, you didn't give Hector his opportunity.
That's
Okay.
correct.
No,
I
yeah.
like the
Well,
spotlight.
There'll be chances for Hector.
On the next line, town needs to be capitalized.
Yep.
And then again, in that list, sometimes we end them with periods and sometimes we don't. It
How would
doesn't
you
matter to me.
Should we just do them all periods?
Yeah, let's do all periods.
Oops. Did I just erase something when I was doing that? No, right?
Here it
No,
is.
I think you look okay.
Okay,
Should you have a hyphen between 5-year in that previous change you made? Because I think you did that with, on the previous page with some other.
where was that?
In the first paragraph there, where
first
you
one.
change the number 5 to the word 5. You just forgot to put the hyphen in, Neil.
Which line, please?
The
I'm having-
first paragraph on page 11.
Oh, 11, sorry.
Yeah.
Third line down.
5-year.
Yep.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
And then on number 4, the last sentence, I'm not going to say anything and just ask, does that sentence read logically to people? And if it does, I won't make a comment.
yeah,
I
4-year period should be hyphenated, Neil, but that's not my
Right.
comment.
Right. So, yeah, it's a little, I was adding the 11 million contingent awards and the 1.2 million. I thought it pertained to the award that was paid out over a 4-year period, but those are separate.
yeah,
So that's kind of my thing. It's just oddly, I can't tell if we got $11 million awarded, $11 million contingently awarded, and another 1.2 million to subsidize existing debt. Is that what this says?
So why don't we just take out the phrase to be paid out over a 4-year period? Do we need that?
yes, we do. Because we need to let them know that we don't get it all at once.
So that 11 million over the 4-year period is separate from the 11 million in
Right.
contingent
Right.
awards.
Correct.
Those are different
Right.
amounts.
Correct.
I understand. I understand that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I agree with Chuck. It's a little awkwardly worded, but I would leave it.
But the punchline is we're talking about $23.2 million in aggregate.
That's
Yes.
it. Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. Then if that's what we're doing, then at a minimum, after 1.2 million, I would put to subsidize existing debt, just to make the verb tenses consistent.
To subsidize. I like that. Okay. And 1.2 million to subsidize existing debt.
yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
Do you want to add after debt, totaling 23.2 million in funding for the town? Just add them all together, or to make it clearer? Is that your concern, Chuck?
I
I
think
think now with that verbiage, it's fine.
Yeah, I think so
Okay.
too.
I think this is fine now. Okay. Everybody okay with that part?
I have
Okay.
one more thing on the, again, it's just like if I'm reading this, the opening to the next section, there are 4 financial components, just seems kind of, I can't think of a better word, stark. So what I wrote was 4 financial components potentially impact property owners, colon. Just, it sounds more conversational to me. But again, if people like it the way it is, we can leave it alone.
Well, the title is the impact, right?
Yes.
Well, what makes it clearer? What you're saying is that the first sentence, there should be, there are 4 components that impact.
Yeah, what I had rewritten was 4 financial components potentially impact property owners, colon.
Well, they're not gonna potentially, they are
They
going,
will, yeah.
they will, they're not gonna potential anything.
I agree with you, Chuck. I would reword that, to say 4 financial components will affect property owners.
Yeah, let's start with 4 financial components. That will impact property owners. That's good.
That looks better to me.
Because everything else is like sewer assessment is singular, is it's 4 financial components will impact a property owner, not property owners?
Yes, correct.
You want to put each property owner?
A property owner is fine.
So a property owner will see a sewer assessment, a cost to connect, an annual sewer fee, and
And-
property tax.
Correct.
Okay. And they can pay it 3 different ways
Correct.
for the assessment. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
Okay,
Mark provided all of the details, so we know that's accurate.
Yeah, just for the record, the reason I put potentially in initially was I did not know that number 4 is a given. I mean, the way I thought of it, property tax will be impacted if, once I'm connected, the value of my property changes because of the connection.
Yes.
Yes.
But I was not aware that that was a given, that when you have sewer, the value of property goes up to the assessor's office. I thought that was an assumption, not a given, which is the only reason I have potentially.
Ah, okay.
That's a good point, Chuck. And the way I was approaching this is we have committed to date property taxes to this program of 3.5 million annually. So everybody's contributing to the cost of this program, indirectly through directly through a portion of their property tax bill that they currently receive, because there is a general fund subsidy right now.
So if that's true, then the header is slightly misleading. Because this says the financial impact on property owners who are going to be tied into the sewer system.
Right, it's really all property owners. Yeah, even if you're tied in or not, we're all contributing to this.
Yeah.
It's
So I would just write the header financial impact on property owners, period. Just no period, just financial impact on property owners. Or
that has the same issue
of the sewer system.
No, but I think that I would argue that not all property owners are going to get a sewer assessment.
Right, the property tax aspect of it is the only thing that affects all property owners.
Right, and
the other 3 only affect you if you're being tied into the system.
Correct.
Yeah, the description as is I believe is correct. It just leaves out the fact that the property tax will also be paid by people who don't have sewer connections. And I don't find that to be and how to explain that simply, I think, is going to be confusing. So I don't think that this is not inaccurate. It just doesn't give you full information, which I don't think it does.
So I think if you just shorten up the header to financial impact on property owners, plural, then that takes care of that ambiguity for the 4th item in that first sentence, the property tax.
Right.
But at any rate,
but Hector, doesn't it make the other 3 wrong?
Well, we're talking about property owners in general.
Right. Half the property owners get a sewer assessment. Ever. Well, at least not in the first 30 years as it's planned.
Right.
you
Right.
only get the sewer assessment if it goes past your road. So if it doesn't go past your road, you're not gonna get the
Right.
assessment. You're not gonna
Right,
be
I
assessed.
understand. And you wouldn't have a cost to connect, and there wouldn't be an annual sewer use fee.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing you get if you're not connected is a piece of what is now a subsidy from all taxpayers to help pay for CWMP.
Right.
property owner. Okay, I'm okay leaving it the way it is. If we can move on, this sixth line from the bottom in that paragraph, you have a typo in aqua fund.
Yeah, aqua fund should be, take away the C.
C?
ACQUA, I think, just
Yeah.
take away the C.
Okay, I didn't write that. Interesting. Okay, good.
No, I wrote it. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
actually,
and
that was
then-
My bad.
no, you actually didn't do that, and I'm not gonna say who did.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I know who did.
All right,
Yeah, he's looking at the screen,
okay.
pretending he didn't write.
Can we go to the paragraph above the
that me?
header financial impact?
Since
Are we done with this
2018?
paragraph? Yeah, since 2018,
Since-
I think we could say
Oh,
these
yes.
sources of revenue have provided over 50% of the costs of CWMP to date. Delete the word total and insert to date where it reads so far.
Yeah, this was a hard line to figure out.
Yeah, 50% of the costs of CWMP to date.
Okay, 56, right.
Yeah, I actually didn't understand, wasn't cognizant. So this is saying that that the town has spent $95 million on CWMP so far. Is that what it's saying?
Yes,
Yeah, to date, right.
that's right.
So that's the
And-
total, that's not the 50%.
That is the 50%.
Well, that would then say that it's been $190 million spent so far. That was confusing to me. It implies that the 56 plus 39 is 50%.
Yeah, it does. And I thought that's not true.
I don't know, I'm asking.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm not sure how accurate that is. I'm going through some numbers here.
Okay,
And the phrase these sources, that pertains to the 8 line items above, right?
correct. Or those that apply.
No, I think where this comment originally came from was when we were presenting our funding for the CWMP to the town council in multiple presentations now. We're estimating that through all of the local resources that we've generated, which include meals and hotel taxes and Cape Cod Water Protection Fund, etc., we're going to generate more than half of the resources we needed to accomplish this program.
Yes.
That's where it originated. This doesn't say that.
Yeah.
And I think I would just take that whole paragraph out or summarize it to say something along those lines. It is estimated that these resources will generate more than half of the resource needed to complete this program over its 30-year life. Something.
Oh, that's a very different point then.
Yeah, that's a completely different point.
That's the point that we were making to the town council in the multiple presentations, is that we've identified our local 50% contribution. We're expecting the federal and state government to come up with the other 50%.
So can we could start that paragraph by saying these sources of revenue are projected to provide over 50%. Is that correct?
Of the total cost of the
Of the
program.
total cost.
Yeah, I think just leave
Of
it at that.
CWMP over the,
Of-
over phase one or 30 years, whatever.
Yep.
You got that?
Not yet, I'm trying to write it down.
These sources
go
of
ahead, Patrick.
revenue, these sources of revenue
Oops. Above 8, I'm sorry.
sources of revenue are projected to provide, to provide.
Yeah. Sorry about my clumsy fingers.
Provide
50%.
more than 50%.
Is it more than 50% or 50%?
No, I think Mark said more than 50%.
Oh, it says over 50%, yeah,
Oh,
or
over
more than.
more than 50%,
More than?
more than 50% of the cost of CWMP.
Over its first 30 years or in phase one? How would we phrase that, Mark?
I was thinking something along, I would just say these sources of revenue are estimated to provide more than 50% of the total program's cost.
Of the total program cost.
Okay,
Did you say estimated, right?
Yeah,
To provide more than 50% of
the total program costs. Period.
Yes.
Yes, and then the data is shown on page 7. Is it still page 7?
I'll check that. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sure we didn't.
You're missing an S on sources, the above 8 sources.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Got it.
Lillian, can we go back to the Aqua Fund program?
Yeah.
It was me that wrote that. I just need to. But it's spelled AQUIFUND.
Okay. Roll it back up.
I'm trying to figure out where I have had
No,
that.
roll
Go
it
down.
up. Roll
Page
it up.
11. It's on page 11.
Under Aqua Fund. And how is it spelled?
AQUI.
AQUI.
Oh, Aqui.
And the F, yeah, Aquifund, and the F is capitalized.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Get it right, Neil.
I can't seem to get it right. That's the second time. Okay.
Aquifer.
Actually, I've never heard of that before.
Oh, well, that's why we have Mark to tell us about this.
So that's the Barnstable County has a fund for this too? I guess. Okay.
They have a financing tool to help residents finance the connection costs.
Oh, that's right. Okay, and that's what that's called. Okay, cool.
Maybe you want to put the link in your another QR code at the bottom here.
I think they can get to that from the water resources page. I'm hoping.
There you go.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's it.
11,
And this one looks
Wow.
clean.
the last page.
Wow, we did it. This is all lifted from before, so I think it's all fine. Chuck is giving it a once over here.
Yeah, sorry, Lillian, but since you asked, my only kind of flow thing was in the first accountable and transparent thing, does the first paragraph belong second? Put the town works diligently and then
Right.
and then conclude with conservative revenue.
Can you flip that?
Yes, I can. So I will flip that, but I will, if I can ask people to check it when I tend it out again.
Okay,
Because they're text blocks, I don't want to move everything and not have time to fix the formatting.
Okay, but you want to move that URL along with that bottom paragraph up and then have the,
Where are
the,
Yeah, it's
The
in the
U-
box. It's in the same box. It should move together.
yeah,
Oh, no, oh, wait a minute, question, sorry, good point. Do you want the URL at the bottom of the first paragraph still, which will be,
no,
is now,
no,
or-
at the bottom.
okay, got it. Will do, that's easy.
Okay,
The only other
But
thing I had on this page,
that URL pertains to the last sentence of that second paragraph, which we're moving up.
yeah, no, I think the URL should be in the middle of that section. not
oh, no, you're
That-
right, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you,
So,
Chuck.
so it has to be there.
So you have to move the URL up along with that second
do.
paragraph.
Will do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then the only other thing I had is I think the clerk should be like bolded and maybe in a bigger font than everybody else under committee members.
I think, yeah, the font should be big, bold, yeah, I think
I knew
so,
I could count on you, Lillian. Thank you.
yeah.
You actually want your proper name, right, Charles?
No, I really don't. I like it just the way it is, Neil.
Okay, anything else?
No, this is good. You guys did a great job on this.
All right. Everybody did a really good job.
Yeah, and again,
Having looked at it and edited it many times, I will now entertain a motion to approve it.
yeah, but before we do that, I just want to insert the request that somebody, and I guess Neil, it's you, make sure that all these links and QR codes work before we finally go to press here.
Yeah, I think they've checked them all. Neil checked them.
We
and
Yeah.
have checked them all. However, Hector brings up a good question, and I actually have that for Mark. This is all on the screen. When it's actually printed would be a good time to check, and I think Mark's checked them all too as well.
Yeah, I think he has.
But especially if the URLs work, the question is, I think we should just check them on the PD on the a proof of what's going to be printed, if that's possible.
Yeah, I'll talk to the printer about that and I'll ask him to provide me a, one copy, a printed copy, and I'll check all the QR codes and links off.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah, I could do that for you if you want, but I do think Hector's point's good. You just never know from one media to the next what's going to happen. They're all the size that should be easily printable. But it would be embarrassing to have people have problems and take away from the quality of the document.
Okay. I just want to make a notation before we have a motion to approve. This is the first report that CFAC has done by itself. Last year, Mark did it, and the previous years, Nathan did it. So this is the first time that all of us, and particularly Neil, put together the document. So we did it.
Congratulations.
And thanks to, yes. And Neil and I decided that whoever made the most edits should be elected as the scribe for next year.
Well, congratulations,
Chuck.
Neil.
Congratulations.
Wait a minute. Oh, I lost you. What?
I thought my suggestion. No. My suggestion was that we all guess at how many corrections we were going to make, not just suggest, but make during this session, and who was ever closest got to be scribed for next year.
Yes.
We also need a report back on the survey that is on the last page here. So
Right, we do.
Yes, I just want to say that, Chris and I think it's a good idea. And as I told Chris, from my experience, if you get a 2% response rate on things like this, you're really great. So if we're producing 5,000 of these, we may get only 10 responses, but it's 10 more pieces of feedback than we had before.
Yeah. We only do 500 actually.
500, yeah, so excuse me,
Yeah.
500. So we'll only get a, you know,
I did a first order of 300 copies from the printer for this. I have a quote for 300 copies. If you want another 200, I can certainly go back to the printer and have more printed up. So, or I can just go call the printer and revise the order if that's what you would like.
What did we distribute last year?
I think we did 300 last year. I'll double check that.
Okay,
I'll do the
yeah,
same number that we
I'd be
did next year.
I'd be inclined to do a little bit more than we did last year.
yeah,
They're $1.92 a copy.
wow.
It's almost $2 a copy, so.
Is there a budget issue, Mark? I mean, will anybody, raise an eyebrow if we overprint?
No, it's just, this comes out of finance budget, which I have a $4,000 operating expense budget, and this is a 25% of it.
No.
It comes out of Mark's bonus, so let's keep the cost down.
What I need to do is, because printing costs have gone up.
Yeah.
And it's, it's something I need to request in the operating budget next year to fully fund. Because we've never put in a request. I've never put in a request to add money to our budget to cover the cost of this report. We've always just, taken it from other line items and directed it to this effort. But if you want to do 500 copies, we can certainly do 500 copies. It's not going to be an issue.
Well, my bias is that we should make sure we hit all the institutions in town. So let's think about it. There's 7 libraries, right?
7
And
post offices, barbers.
yeah.
Where else have you brought them?
Well, I hit real estate offices, but I don't give them that many, maybe 5. So I don't know. Why don't we think about 400? Split the difference between 300 and 500. That way we're not going to stress your budget too much, Mark.
Yeah. How many do we?
Well, we normally each got about 50, so that was 300.
Yeah, so with 7 members, that would be 350 copies for each, or 50 copies for each of you, if we did 350. Do you think they'll need more than 50 each?
50 would be fine.
50 is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do 350, and if you find that people want more, we'll do a second run.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's go 300.
Can somebody put together a kind of a spreadsheet or a list of the places that we want to have these done and who's going to do each place, so we don't duplicate?
Well, Nathan used to keep a list when he was the analyst for the finance department. And last year we just sort of picked them up and rolled them around town. But we could keep a list.
Yeah, I think if we had a plan for where we're going to distribute
I think what I can do is, since we don't have Nathan anymore and Mark has got his, why don't I keep the list?
Okay.
And then we will. So we won't have.
So each of us will report to you, Lillian, where
are you going to
he
go?
or she delivers them. Okay.
Right.
And Neil, so Neil, last year I did Osterville.
Yeah.
Right, downtown Osterville and so forth. So
yeah, we basically just took towns. I took Katuitt, and actually Wendy and I took Katuitt, and then we split it up.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we have somebody, I'm my senior moment is here. Our member who lives in Centerville, who's not here today, can't cover Centerville.
Maybe, yeah.
And then Chris and I will fight it out for Marston Mills.
Yeah.
No one's going to.
Yeah, I think we can. I think we can individually come up with some places and just kind of consult with each other and
get
it covered.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
sure we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, that would leave Hyannis out.
Well, Lillian,
No,
you do.
I do the West Hyannis Port Post Office, and I do the Centerville Library. I can
Okay.
also do the Hyannis Library.
Okay, how about Barnstable and West Barnstable?
Oh, we don't have any. Well, if you'd like to take a ride out there, that'd be great.
So
I can
why
do
don't
that.
you, Chris and Neil should split up Marston's Mills and West Barnstable
And Barnstable?
and Barnstable.
Yeah.
Okay, can do.
Well, the West Barnstable has a library on 149.
Everybody has a library and they also have a
Yeah.
post office.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
let's
Figure it out.
We'll
Okay,
work it all out.
I got it.
And
Okay.
we'll report, Lillian, I'll send you a list of the places I gave it to and the number in
Okay.
each.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Okay. Getting back to a motion to approve this. Is there a motion?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second,
Chuck? It's been moved
Lillian?
to second. Yes?
Hector,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes, please.
Chris,
Yes.
and Chuck is yes.
Great.
We're good.
And I want us, before we leave this, to give great thanks to Neil.
That's not
And
necessary.
he has, I know it's not necessary, but I can tell you, there were some days when I got 10 emails from Neil about this. So he put
Well,
in
then
a
look
lot, he put in a lot of good effort, and we want to thank you.
No,
Yeah,
thanks.
Lillian,
Thank you,
we
Neil.
should be thanking you then for Neil not emailing the rest of us 10 times a day. So thank you, Lillian, for being there.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you both.
before we move on to the next item, I just want to remind you that you need to get your conflict of interest training online in by September 6th. I have only received 2 confirmations from Cynthia Lovell so far, so the rest of you need to do that.
Was there an email that came around that
Yes,
told us where to go? Who sent the email? Cynthia Lovell?
I sent it to you all. I will see if I still have the master email, and if I do, I'll send it to you. I will resend it.
Oh, I've got it. August 2nd at 9:39 a.m. Okay.
There you go.
I'll make a note
Okay.
to, I'll make a note to
So please.
read and comply, as they say in the military.
Yes, it takes about an hour.
Yep.
But we need to do it. Okay. All right. Moving on then, Mark is going to give us a review of the end of 23 budget.
Thank you, Lillian. I sent out earlier
Yep, we got it.
today, everybody a copy of our end of year fiscal year 23 budget results. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so here's the general fund, and it includes all the enterprise funds as well. For our general fund, we budgeted a $6.7 million use of reserves. We actually generated almost a $6 million surplus, resulting in a $12 million favorable budget variance. On the revenue side of things, motor vehicle excise taxes performed very well. Actual receipts came in over $2 million above what we estimated. Licenses and permits did very well as well. $2.6 million surplus there. Building permits included a one-time large permit issue to Cape Cod Healthcare's new tower. I believe that permit was close to $900,000. So there's some one-offs in these numbers like that we won't necessarily repeat themselves year over year. And investment income, of course, improved dramatically. You've seen investment rates tick up significantly as the interest rates have been increasing, and we're seeing that in our excess cash deposits and, $1.8 million surplus there.
Wow.
We're typically generating anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 a year. In previous years, as we were earning less than 1% on our excess cash deposits, and of course, those have gone up quite a bit. So those are some of the major contributors to our revenue growth. This is an indication that if we can continue this type of revenue production, we can increase our local receipts estimates when establishing future budgets, which we did. Fiscal year 24, I think we increased these revenue estimates by about $2.5 or $2.6 million to balance the FY24 budget. So, we expect this type of performance going forward. We still have some conservatism built into those estimates because, we didn't increase local receipts by $8 million. But we did increase it by about 2.5. We'll see what happens in fiscal year 24. But it's good. It's good to see that revenues are performing so well.
Mark, I have a question. The intergovernmental deficit, is that the word? 551,000. What was that from?
That was our revenue for reimbursements for charter school assessments. We did not receive the amount on the cherry sheet that we were estimated to be distributed to the town of Barnstable in fiscal year 23. It came in less. On the flip side, the assessments for charter schools came in less as well, and they offset each other.
Okay. In percentage terms, it's not that great, but it's one of the two negative variances that jump out. The other one is property taxes, which is truly just a nit on $138 million. So.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about property taxes, included in that number are collections on the FY23 levy that was assessed, as well as collections on previous year's levies that came in during FY23. So out of that 138 million, about 135 million of it was the actual FY23 levy, which represented about 96% of the levy, which is a very strong collection rate in the year of levy. That's typical. Community will see, because there's always taxpayers that pay slow. And then, so that, it's our collection rates continue to be strong. So that is made up of both FY23 levy revenue and prior year levy revenue.
Okay. Can we talk about expenditures for a second?
Yep.
The public works spending was $802,000 less than what had been budgeted.
Yes.
But that's a 10% swing. What's up with that?
Vacancies. We have a lot of vacancies. And so that's even after we transferred some money out of public works to other departments. But it's a result of the number of vacancies that public works had throughout the year. Their workforce is down, permanent positions as well as seasonal positions, having a hard time hiring. So that's what resulted in that large number. Of course, snow and ice removal, no deficit this year, $400,000 returned from that budget. And most of the fixed costs, some of that was those charter school assessments. They didn't come in as high as they were budgeted. And some employee benefit costs.
Is the $225,000 for the police also hiring?
Yes, it's all salary, mostly salary, both police and public works. Every department that you see here, it's mainly personnel that where we end up returning appropriations. Those positions sit vacant for a number of months. It generates excess budget.
Thank you.
We currently,
and just go ahead.
I think we currently have over probably close to 120 positions in all departments that are vacant, and that number changes every day. as people come and go. But as
And how many of those are DPW, would you surmise?
I think DPW permanent positions for DPW, it's probably close to 20.
Hmm.
Maybe more.
And so when you have when you have vacancy rates at this level, does that tell us something about the compensation that's being offered, or?
That's part of it, Hector. Absolutely. I mean, it's just why, health insurance came up, and we were asked to take a look at health insurance and changing the contribution that the town pays towards health insurance. Because we think that definitely makes us less competitive in recruiting, because we only pay 50%, but it's also, housing is an issue. Trying to attract people here to move to the Cape, from off Cape. It's very difficult for people to relocate. And, some of the jobs we're talking about, public works, public safety, they can't commute significant differences. We do have a residency. Well, we don't have a residency requirement for police. It's so many miles within the town's boundary, and I think it touches the outskirts of Plymouth, but so the police have a limited amount of real estate that they can draw from. But public works, these people are here, they can't work remotely. Some of the other departments that we can factor in some hybrid into the operation, which we have done. That helps us with recruiting. But yeah, I think housing and the competitiveness on the employee benefits are two of the factors that are cited most often when people leave us or when we're talking to potential candidates about hiring.
Right. And you spoke on the benefits issue. You and the HR guy spoke to town council last meeting about that subject.
Yes.
Just curious, what did town council, what did they decide? There wasn't a decision or a vote required about
No, the only vote that the town council had to decide to take was whether or not to accept the statute within Mass General Law that would allow the town manager to negotiate something other than 50-50.
Right.
It didn't say we're going to go to a different contribution. They just had to accept that section of the law, because without accepting that, we're locked into 50-50. We can't do anything. Our hands are tied.
Yeah, so the council gave Els the flexibility in the upcoming or ongoing labor negotiations to tweak that number if need be.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mark, just as a rough estimate, if it went from 50-50, say, to a different ratio, what would the cost annually be?
Well, for example, 70-30, I think we estimated it at about $1.85 million more.
Okay.
And that's based on current enrollment.
Yeah.
Now, if we go from 50-50 to 70-30, how many more potential employees are going to jump onto the town's health insurance plan? Because right now we have about a 56% participation rate. So if we go to 70-30, it could jump to 70% participation rate. And the other thing that we have to think about is, we have, I think, 115 vacant positions. How many of those are going to take health insurance when we do find them to fill these positions? So, there's a lot of unknowns, things that are hard to measure when it comes to participation specifically. And more specifically, if they do participate, is it going to be a single plan, or is it going to be a family plan? And are going to choose an HMO, or are they going to choose a PPO? There's just a lot of different factors that we have to consider. And all we can do is maybe, try to mirror what we've seen other communities' participation rates come in at when they go to different percentages. So for example, our HR director spoke to the town of Dennis that recently went to 70-30, and their participation rate for benefit eligible employees is 84%. We're
Yeah.
currently 56% participation rate at 50-50.
Yeah.
Right, for Dennis, do they know what it was? Did you get what it was before they went to 70-30?
No, I don't know what that is.
Because a lot in my experience in a whole different industry and everything else, the participation rate, the greatest variable that affected participation rate was spouse's healthcare coverage option. It's not that everyone goes without coverage, actually, if they can get it.
Right.
But I think Dennis, if somebody can figure out that, it might be a good a good comparison. Because it certainly is an issue.
Yeah.
But if you've got 50, I'd be really surprised if that many people switched, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people,
Is this a topic that we should spend a little time on at a future CFAC meeting? Mark, you had some exhibits that you showed to town council. Maybe we can.
Yeah, I can share, I can do the presentation to the committee at your next meeting if you'd like. And I can talk. Those metrics.
That would be great. Yeah,
Okay.
the comparison.
Yeah, I think
the comparison of the neighboring communities at that town council meeting indicated it was an average of 75%. So yeah, I think it would be very, very helpful for us to look at it and get your presentation and see in what way we could help. Because the financial impact will be substantial.
Yes, it will. Has the potential to be, depending upon where we go.
Yeah.
And it's all subject to, negotiations as well.
Right.
I'd also be interested, Mark, when we talk about this, in your thoughts about how a rating agency looks at numbers like these. I mean, on the plus side, they're all positive variances. On the downside, some of the reasons for the positive variances aren't necessarily reasons you want. And does that impact anything? And you don't need to answer it now. I'm just interested in the top.
Yeah, that's a great question, Chuck. And rating agencies specifically asked us that question last year, if we were having difficulty recruiting, because it's not just Barnstable. It's a lot of Cape communities and a lot of cities and towns across Massachusetts.
Right.
Housing costs in this state are so expensive. I think we're all in the same boat when it comes to recruiting. It's not just employee benefits, but it's housing plays a major component of that as well. And they commented that many of the Massachusetts communities that they speak to when doing their ratings are experiencing that same issue. And they asked us that question because they wanted to know if we were having the same recruiting issues as many of the other communities were.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the general fund, which ultimately what this means is we'll end up, we're putting together our financial statements for the Department of Revenue, and we'll be submitting them to get our free cash certified. So we do expect our free cash to go up. We do expect it to come in to be certified in excess of $30 million, which is higher than what it was last year when it was certified, even though we used $6.7 million here to balance capital and operating budgets in 23. But it's because we generated 12 million, essentially. We generated 6 million, I mean. So, which is a $12 million variance. But oh yeah, it's going to go up. The same thing with all our enterprise funds. We had the same experience. The Airport Enterprise Fund, we balanced their budget using $3.8 million of reserves, both their capital and operating budget. They ended up generating a $1.9 million surplus for a positive variance of $5.7 million.
Wow.
Um,
On the operating expenses, do you know why that's such a large number? Isn't that
It's-
most,
yeah, it's jet fuel. They had,
oh,
they, so they were able to expense, some of their jet fuel purchases off against a grant they received. Additional, more ARPA funds essentially. And so they didn't have to cover all of the jet fuel purchases out of their operating budget. They could charge them off to a grant they received.
and I presume the charges for services that are up by 3 million was also jet fuel again, or not?
Yeah, a lot of it's sale of jet fuel. Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Golf course, or I mean, solid waste. Again, 371,000 used to balance capital and operating budgets. They actually incurred they almost went break even. So that was a favorable variance of $365,000. And again, a lot of the excess revenue here was from demolition material. People, it's just unbelievable how much demo material they're taking in out there. I think we're continuing to see homeowners doing home renovations and having the demolition, brought to the transfer station. I think that line item alone exceeded the budget estimate by close to $200,000.
Wow.
So whether that's sustainable or not in the long run, I don't know. I think, that's going to fluctuate with the economy. Eventually things are going to slow down with the home renovation stuff, but it still was strong in fiscal year 23. Water pollution.
Mark,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
just staying on the solid waste topic for a second. So you're saying that demo material brought to the solid waste station was generated more revenue than they expected?
Yes.
So where's that going to? I mean, who's paying for it?
So when you drive into the transfer station, if you have demolition
Right.
material you want to dispose of,
Right.
you drive your vehicle up on the scale. You get weighed.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there's a charge per ton for the disposal of that demo material.
Okay. Do you happen to know what is in terms of recycling, whether, for example, cardboard still generates revenue?
So we still
And
get,
so forth, plastic and paper, and what the update is on that?
there is a market still for corrugated cardboard. We do receive money for that, but I think that's about it. Metals is the number one recycling material that we receive money for. But it's mainly isolated to metals and corrugated cardboard. I think there may be a little bit for newspaper, but it's mostly metals and corrugated cardboard. We don't get any plastics, glass for that.
We have to pay to have that taken.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sewer, we had a break-even budget, no reserves used to balance the budget, and we generated a $1.6 million surplus. Revenues came in at $1.3 million higher, and then we had $300,000 returned appropriations. I think what's contributing to the revenues, I'm waiting to see this when we do our next rate study, is usage. I think our usage, both on the water and sewer side, is up. And I don't have the numbers on usage yet. Public Works keeps track of those, and we provide those to our consultant that helps us with a rate tool that we use to annually adjust our fees for water and sewer usage. But from what I'm hearing is that water usage is up, consumption. And that's just a factor of, the more people down here during the busy summer season, as well as year-round homeowners, it's just, I think they're using more water. Especially for irrigation. And if you have a deduct meter, you won't get charged for that water on your sewer. But if you don't have a deduct meter, you will be charged for that. But I think that's what's contributing to the excess that we're seeing in revenues for water and sewer is our usage is up. And here's the water, $1.2 million surplus revenue, $600,000 of returned appropriations, and they generated a $1.2 million surplus. We had budgeted $675,000. And so that results in a positive variance of 1.9 million.
Mhm.
Golf course, another good year for golf. People are playing. And we're seeing, rounds.
Are
of
they
golf.
getting any better? Is the question.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So they had another good year out the golf course. We budgeted 216,000 surplus to balance the budget. They generated 255 in surplus for a positive budget variance of 472.
That's good.
HYCC is coming back. More user groups are starting to enter, come back to the facility. So we're seeing an uptick in revenues. We were down to $500,000 of revenue, post-COVID. But now we're seeing that business come back. Those user groups are coming back. We're seeing more bookings. And so their revenues are up. And it resulted in $465,000 of excess revenue generated, a little bit of returned appropriations of $80,000. And so they had a $545,000 favorable variance.
But that's still being funded $2.5 million. That's what the operating transfers are. Is that right?
Yeah, still heavily subsidized. Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So that surplus is a little bit misleading to me. Well,
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
I hope they keep going.
$2 million subsidy that we actually gave them if you want to net the variance out against the actual transfer. Marina, again, marinas are performing well. Very little vacancy rates on slips. Transient revenue, we've adopted a transient program, getting money from, we have a couple of slips, I think, that are dedicated to transients, some moorings. That seems to be successful. And so they continue they're generating revenue. And one good news here about the debt services, we just made the final payment in fiscal year 23 for the Prince Cove Marina acquisition. And that loan has been paid off. And so that's a significant reduction, which is very timely because we do have a major CIP coming up in the near future, and that's to rebuild the Bismore Harbor bulkhead. So that's going to require an issuance of a bond and new debt service. So the timing works out very well for that. Sandy Neck, still continuing to see users come to the neck. A lot of out-of-town users. People find that paying, I think it's $180 for a sticker if you're not a resident of Barnstable is well worth a couple of days out on the beach if you bring your family down. It's kind of like a very inexpensive a way to spend a couple of days of your vacation if you don't mind carting your food and all your equipment out there onto the beach and spending a day with the kids. So we're seeing if you take a ride out to the neck sometime, you'll see a lot of license plates from New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York. Did I say New York? Yeah, I did. New Hampshire. There are people from all over New England buying stickers to go out onto that beach, even if you're only here for a couple of days or a week. Even people from other communities in Massachusetts. I meet a lot of people who aren't from the Cape but who are from Massachusetts, they just drive down from Middleborough or Halifax or someplace on the South Shore just to go spend the day at Sandy Neck. They come down several times throughout the summer. And so it's worth it to them to get a sticker. So they're doing very good business out there still, even with the closures that occur with the nesting shorebirds that take place. But we've been successfully mitigating the impact of that with a program that we've put in place with the state that at least allows us to keep at least a half a mile of the beach open for a period of time. And that half mile is very busy when it is open. But right now they have 4.5 miles open as those birds have fledged, and it's wide open again out there. Good time of year to go out there right now.
Yeah.
So they're doing well, and that's it. That was my last.
Great.
Thank you very much.
That's helpful. So Mark, I have a question for you. So the CWMP spending on personnel, is that captured in on page 1 in the DPW, the Public Works?
For FY23?
In the Public Works, sorry? For FY23, yeah.
For FY23,
so the personnel, Griffin and whomever who are assigned to the CWMP, I know there's obviously huge capital numbers, but I'm talking about compensation for people who are assigned to that project. Where do their costs show up?
It's not in the water pollution control budget in fiscal year 23. However, we made that change for the fiscal year 24 budget. We rolled it in with the water pollution control enterprise fund budget starting in fiscal year 24. So you can see the full impact of that personnel as well as the personnel that manages the operation out there in Bursa's Way. So if 24 is the first year, we'll see that.
Okay, so we budgeted $1,834,000 for personnel for water pollution control.
Yep.
In fiscal 23, that number is going to jump next year.
Yeah, for 24, it's in the budget book. Let me see if I can find it here for 24.
You don't need, I don't need to. I was just trying to clarify that. That's where I was headed with the question, because I knew that we had rolled CWMP into the water pollution control enterprise fund.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Would it be possible for you to give us your presentation on the health insurance at our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Our next meeting is September 11th, and we decided that we would think about when we wanted to meet again in person. So I throw that open to you. We had thought that perhaps we would begin it in the fall. And so September begins the fall. So do you want to continue to meet on Zoom, or would you like to start meeting in person? Anybody have any opinions about this?
I'll speak up. I was somebody who thought that meeting in person would be a good thing, but having said that, there's great convenience to being able to sit in your office at home and do these meetings. And I have my computer open, so any documents that Mark or others circulate, I have open on my laptop, and I do the Zoom part with my iPad. So I don't feel that strongly, Lillian, about meeting in person again. I hope people don't think I'm being antisocial.
We said we would revisit this issue.
Yeah.
Here it is.
I don't know. What do other people think?
So let me get Neil, what do you think?
I believe that the most fun I've had on CFAC was at Chuck's house in person. Maybe it was the wine. I don't. I think getting together in person is great. I am torn, to be honest. Relative, I agree with everything Hector said too, though. There's a lot of convenience to doing it from one's office at home, or at work, is the case it looks like for poor Mark. But I guess I would, to be honest with, I would be thoughtful of what's going on with COVID again. I've started to wear a mask in stores now.
Yeah,
I'm more paranoid than everybody else, but
there's a resurgence.
Yeah, and so I think there's some advantages in both ways.
Okay.
So I can go either way.
Okay. Chuck?
Yeah, selfishly, I prefer Zoom only because we travel a fair amount and I can still attend these meetings and do this as when we do them on Zoom, and I'm worried my attendance would slack off if it had to be in person.
Okay. Chris?
I'm okay either way. I don't feel strongly one direction or the other. So if it's more convenient for everyone to stay on Zoom, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't care either way. So
Yeah.
for the next month or so,
Mark has his hand up. Mark?
Thank you. Yeah, just to give you an update on what's happening with remote meetings. This seems to become more and more acceptable meeting format around the state, especially for boards and committees. Maybe not legislative bodies, that definitely not. Town meeting, council meetings, and so forth. But boards and committees, it seems to it's becoming more and more of an acceptable means of meeting for those volunteers who serve on these committees. And there was some testimony before this legislative group a couple of weeks ago at the State House. Various board and committee members and town managers, administrators from across the state testified about permanently including this meeting format in future law. We are granted to continue to meet this way through March of 2025, I think it is, to the end of March of 2025. But I think they're looking to push this to make it a permanent change, because maybe not so much in our group, but a lot of boards and committee members see more participation from the general public as it's more accessible. But some would argue that it's not accessible for people who don't have internet or computers, but these days most people do.
Right.
And so I just wanted to put that out there just to give you an update as to what's happening at the state level. There is some talk about perhaps making this permanent beyond March of 2025. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I also think that I also think that CFAC, unlike some other town committees, is purely advisory. So we have flexibility to do this remotely, whereas I know, for example, the town conservation committee or commission, or zoning. I've heard anecdotally that a lot of people want to have those meetings in person, where there's much greater representation and participation by members of the public.
Yeah.
But I think we have flexibility because we're purely advisory. We're not actually making decisions.
Well, you never know. After our overview report goes out, there may be a surge of public interest in attending our meeting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Let's hope.
That additional 50 printed copies is going to recruit a lot of people.
Everybody will be crowding in on our Zoom meetings. So, having heard everybody's, and some people can go either way. Let's continue on with Zoom for the foreseeable future. And our next meeting is September 11th. I leave this as a final information. We have one candidate for CFAC membership. He is a former CFAC chair. And so he will be interviewed by the nominating committee September 12th. And there will be, if he's approved, then he will be submitted to the town council for voting. And so he might be able to join us by the end of October.
That's great. And we have how many vacancies now? 2?
We have 2. Yes, at the moment. So anyway, that's the news of the day. Does anybody else have any other information you'd like to share?
So I have one just topic to broach, and it's getting close to 8, so I don't want to take up too much time. But among topics, the future topics other than the benefits presentation that Mark is going to make, I'm interested in the CWMP project. It's a lot of money. So I would, and I touched on this with Mark. I think it was at Neil's, at Chuck's get together. But I'd be curious to have Griffin Bowden in, for example, just to give us an update on sort of the progress that the DPW and the contractors are making on CWMP, just to get an update, not so much to sort of ballpark or check their financial spending, but I'd be curious to get Griffin Bowden in here too, just to give us a presentation on progress so far.
That's a really good idea. A couple of months ago, Chuck mentioned that members have different interests, and they might want to drill down a little bit during our off time when we're not doing reports. So be thinking if you want to do that.
Yeah.
So that each of us could become much more acquainted with one of the areas that we for the budgets that we are responsible for.
So could we think about having, and I think Griffin Bowden is the right person, Mark, I'd defer to you, because he's sort of on the front lines of CWMP even more than Dan Santos, isn't that correct?
I would pose the question to Director Santos as to who he feels would be the best person.
Yeah.
Right. But I find Griffin to be extremely knowledgeable, and he's articulate, and I'd like him to be one of the representatives. Could we consider inviting him for the September 25th CFAC meeting?
What I would do is to defer to Mark so that he will check with Dan Santos to see if Griffin could come.
Yep, I'll check with them and see if he's available on the 25th.
That'll be great.
Yeah, and just the request is just to get a progress report and update on the various projects that comprise CWMP.
Yeah.
We had also talked about perhaps inviting the communications manager, Kelly Colopy, to go over the new water resources website, if you're interested in that as well.
That would be excellent.
Yep. And she'd be a great addition, but I would like to have Griffin as at least one of the presenters.
Yep.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. All right. Not hearing any other business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Is there a second?
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Chuck?
Lillian?
Yep.
Hector?
Yes.
Neil?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And Chuck is yes. So we're good to adjourn.